Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
My friend caught my girlfriend cheating on me. I took revenge and she gets stuck with all the bills. I meet my ex when I was in a job training program that we joined. After completing our courses in the program, we moved into a studio apartment and were looking for work. After about 6 months of struggling to find a job, I managed to get a job at a factory. I was also delivering Chinese food for a local restaurant. She couldn't find a job, so I ended up paying and doing everything for her because she also had a medical problem. A year and a half later, I go to my job, and I get a promotion in a different position. I'm working 12-hour shifts in the factory, but it's now a lot more money, and I'm doing better in that means. That's when we get married, and then we end up moving to a bigger place on the other side of town. I ended up quitting the Chinese food job, but my oldest sister, we can call her OS, owned a flooring company and needed my and my best friend's help. We can call him BF. So I need a normal routine after getting paid from the factory to get my check cash, get the groceries to pay what bills needed to be paid, and then drive back to the house and then wait for my friend to call me so we can hang out for a little bit before I went to sleep and did it all again. Sometimes BF would stay at my house when we had to go to work, and he would leave stuff there once in a while and have to come back for it. That comes into play in a minute. One morning, another friend of mine calls me after I run all my errands and tells me BF is going to meet up with me at his house. He's got something important to say to me. We can call him AF. So I drive over to his house and I'm waiting for BF to show up. AF says he says something really important to tell me and won't tell me what it is. BF finally shows up and tells me to come outside and get in the van. I asked him what is it he has to tell me, but he won't tell me until I get in the van. So I get in and I hear the door locks, so I look over and casually with my finger, he never even noticed, I flipped the lock back open. BF turns around and says, I went to your house last night to get my phone charger and saw a shadow run across the blinds in your living towards your bedroom. Me. What? BF. I'm not kidding, dude. I saw a dude in your house. He was in his boxers standing in your bedroom. X answered the door on her knees when I came over, and I saw this dude's clothes on the floor next to the couch. My mind just filled with rage. I grabbed the door handle and opened it up. He couldn't believe that the door wasn't locked. I jumped out, jumped in my car, I rolled down my window and said, you might want to follow me. I drove straight home and found her sleeping. She had her sleep apnea machine on, so I pulled the hose off and woke her up. Me. This is one of those times you well better be telling me the truth. Who the heck was here last night? X. Just a friend of mine. Me. A man. X. Yes, he came over and we were watching TV. Me. Why is BF telling me he was in his boxers in our bedroom? I walked out and got the phone and called BF. He was still at AF house. Forgive me for not being able to remember all the details of the conversation, but this was 12 years ago. I put him on speaker, and all of us were arguing over this. And there was something she told him last night that she couldn't tell me. I finished talking to BF for now once he was convinced I wasn't going to kill her and hung up. She was crying and trying to convince me nothing happened. X. Honey, believe me. Nothing happened. Me? What is it you said to him? X. I told him he was just flirting with me. I didn't buy it. So, I decided to sleep on it until I figure out my next move. I woke up that afternoon and acted like I believed her. I went to work that night, and on Friday to Sunday, I was going to Connecticut to work for my OS again. BF couldn't go, so I stopped by his house on my way home from Connecticut. BF, what's up, man? Me. What was it she couldn't tell me? BF. She told me that she's been messing around with him already. I could feel my heart tear apart, then the anger kicked in again. Me. Okay. We're going to get her saying that on tape. BF. I'm not going to be doing that. Me. You're doing this. You caught her. Now you're going to do this for me. He didn't want to but agreed to. I hung out with him for a few hours, then went home. When I got there, the entire house was clean, and some of the furniture was moved around. She had never done anything like this before, so I could tell she was trying to get me to believe she was innocent. I acted like I was happy about it, but didn't really care. The next day, we went to BF house. We hung out for an hour, in which time while she was in the other room. BF told me he had an old cell phone he could get the recording with. I told her I had to run to the store to get some drinks. I drove to the store and he got her talking about it. After about 10 minutes, I came back. He was in the kitchen holding the phone. I took it to the bathroom and listened to the recording. A lot of the recording was hard to make out, but close to the end of the recording, I heard this. BF, but you told me you messed around with him. X. I was going to. That was all I needed to hear. Vengeance was going to be mine. Here comes the revenge. This was when I called my OS and then my middle sister, MS. I let them know what was going on. OS had already been through a divorce before I began looking up the process to get one. I told my boss at the factory what was happening and let them know that I may have to take a few days to get things done. He understood because many people who work nights end up going through this. OS and I meet up outside of Boston to go to the courthouse in Cambridge to file. I explained to the clerk I want any other paperwork to be sent to OS house, so X knows nothing about it. They didn't have any problem with that and told me she should be getting served the papers in a month. I then convinced her to sign the title of the car over to my OS so we could save some money on insurance. I paid for the car, the insurance, and everything else for it, so that car is mine. She was reluctant at first, but I convinced her it would be better for us. I also started treating her like garbage. She would try to talk to me, and I'd act like what she said didn't matter. I woke her up one morning by taking the hose off her machine and farting in it. We were still being intimate, but I treated her like she deserved. She still had no idea what was going to happen next. My OS got the title of the car re-registered in New Hampshire under her name and had the plates ready. BF and I were working for her in the morning on Saturday and had everything plotted out. I spent the rest of the day at BF house until about 10 o'clock, then went home. I told her we should get to sleep because both OS and MS were coming to visit at 9 a.m. The next morning, I woke up and nudged her to wake up. I got up and took a shower. I brushed my teeth and got dressed. I walked out of the bathroom and into the bedroom. She was still sitting in bed. X, why are OS and MS coming over so early? Me? Oh, they're coming to help me. At that time, I started pulling all my clothes out of the closet and putting them in bins and suitcases. X, what are you doing? Me, what does it look like? I'm leaving you. X, what? Why? Me, here's why. I reach in my jacket pocket and pull out the old cell phone and play back the recording for her. She hears the conversation and is shocked. X, what was that? Me, you know very well what that was. You made me a promise and you broke it. Now it's over. I already filed for divorce and are coming to serve you today. X, my mom told me you might do something like that. Me, maybe next time you'll listen to her. X, what about all the lovemaking we had all this time? Me, what about it? X, you used me. Me, oh, just like you did me for the last 4 years. She gets up and grabs the house phone and calls her mother. She starts crying into the phone talking to her. Meanwhile, I pull out my cell phone and start calling the landlord to let him know that I paid 3 months of our 6-month lease and he can go after her for the rest. Then I call the electric company and tell them to shut off the power at the address tomorrow. The cable, gas, and auto insurance were all in her name. Once the car was re-registered in New Hampshire, my sister put it on her insurance and I paid her. I then grabbed the phone from her and explained to her mom that I was done with the little cheater. About that time, I went back to the bedroom and found her wedding band and engagement ring on the dresser. Me, you're not keeping your engagement ring. X, why should I? You're leaving me. Me, good, I can get a few bucks from them at the pawn shop. About that time, OS and MS arrive with a local police officer. The officer watches as we pack up all my stuff into OS truck, and I switch the plates for my car. We pack both vehicles up while OS and MS get their say in the matter. After we get everything, I wanted to take an OS takes pictures of the apartment and her to show evidence that I didn't hit her or get violent and wreck the house. She was that kind of person who would cry wolf for attention. OS, okay, X, we have all the photos of you and the apartment we need, so you can't claim he beat you up. Me, and your license plates are in the kitchen, and you can keep the bed because I'm going to get another one. X, what am I going to do with it? MS, why don't you give it to your side piece and laughing? There's a good idea. So, I moved out and over to BF house until I could afford another place of my own, which only took me about 3 months. Another 3 months later, and we were officially divorced and she didn't claim any alimony.